Hello again, this is Ms. Reed, and I'm here to walk you through your research outline. As you can see on the screen, I brought up the research proposal that we looked at in the previous step because we're building from the information we gathered in the research to help create your outline. And just like with our research proposal, we're going to start this one out of order. The reason we start out of order is we build off of the things that we have. First and foremost, you've got your thesis. So, to create your outline, you would open up your research proposal, take this thesis, move it over, copy and paste. Easy peasy. Now, as we look at the thesis, we see this increased training for important jobs. Well, easy. We just move that into our first slot for your thesis. Same thing with the second one, explores diverse communities, right there. And the third one, help combat the obesity problem in the US. Next, you're going to go back and look at your research proposal. You see those little parentheses at the end of the pro arguments? They match up to the beginning of the source that would help support that part of the argument. So you've got the Metab here, you've got Dahar over here, and then Martin's would be back down here because, again, your sources are in ABC order. So you'd put in the parentheses just that very, very beginning of what's hanging out over the hanging indent. This is why that hanging indent was so important in our research proposal. Next up in your thesis, you look and see, okay, what was my opposite side? Was that virtual reality can make people feel sick. So we move that in our first slot. We only had one con in the thesis, so now you just need to think, what are some of the options? Well, what would be like an opposite of B? Allows people to explore diverse communities and cultures. Well, on this side, there's a discrimination problem in virtual reality. Direct opposite. And again, we have additional sources that we're doing research on. So you may have some sources on this one that are not on your research proposal. You can expand through additional approved sources. And then when we get to the final works cited, you'll include all of the sources that you've used as you're working through the project. We can't just stick with our original sources. Our source list needs to grow. So for our third con, we look at our third pro, helps combat the obesity problem. Well, here, opposition. Well, as much as I would love to fight that obesity problem, virtual reality is really expensive. So we've got our oppositions. So directly out of our thesis. Now let's go up here and see what in those sources did I find was the most interesting information. Well, you know what? Virtual reality isn't just for games and came from a new source, which again is fine as you're building new approved sources. Then background. We're looking to build that history of virtual reality. We're looking for the really old, we're looking for the kind of new, and then the now. So again, the very old, the kind of new, and then the now. And you want to, again, align those to sources. You may have to do additional research, or you might actually already have it in your current sources. And then lastly, we do our conclusion. How are we going to wrap this up? How are we going to restate that thesis in a different way? And that's your research proposal. Sorry, not your research proposal. That is your working outline. Hope this helps.